Graham, Tarek, it's a pleasure to host you both. Just as we kick off this interview, it'd be great to know a little bit more about your background, who you are, and your career so far.
I'm Tariq Abu Zaid. I am part of the client portfolio management team at AHL. My career has started completely somewhere else. I have a degree in engineering and spent a few years researching and publishing papers on optical communication, far, far away from finance and trading. And I stumbled upon, finance and quant. I would say it was a little bit of a random choice I did at some point. Always fascinated, excited about learning about financial markets, about quant trading, application of quant onto finance, and thus started an internship, started my first job, market making, quant strategies, and here I am, 10, 15 years later, still doing the same stuff, still excited about it. And every day, I'm sure Graham will agree as well, every day it's an opportunity to learn new things. We work with the smartest people and we learn really as we go.
Brilliant. Graham?
Yeah, Graham Robertson. I'm a scientist by training. I came up through geophysics and then seismology on a postgraduate degree. Wasn't kind of traveling the world and having fun and hitting rocks or anything like that. It was sitting in a computer room for 7 years doing numerical modeling. I think what took me into this job was I like the numbers side, but I also like talking to people, which actually is really important for this role because as we'll go into a discuss, systematic has this kind of myth about kind of dark art, but it's not.
Are there, and how do you differentiate your strategies from the wider market?
Yeah, it's a very collaborative culture where, we're mathematicians, scientists, engineers, problem solvers, I think is kind of the nice encompassing term of that. We love solving problems, and it happens to be in this case to do with financial markets. We talk to each other, we share, we collaborate, and that we bounce ideas off each other, and that makes a difference. We're not kind of sitting in silos, just solving little problems. And that kind of fosters kind of curiosity. It also fosters the ability to think outside the box. People bounce ideas off each other. We have seminars, we have, visitors from, as Tarek was saying, Oxford. That really makes a difference for our culture.
Yes, I would say imagine it as some sort of an academia type environment where you are able to communicate, share, collaborate on many projects, but of course focused on a single aim, which is to deliver to our investors, whether it's pension plans, sovereign bodies, insurance companies, whoever they are, delivering for them returns, ultimately to pay retirees and ultimately to benefit society. So this is really kind of this environment, which I believe AHL is quite really one of the few places where you can have this environment, this large scale impact for our clients in a very collaborative environment.
There'll be many young people, aspiring, investors and traders and technologists, as well as those that maybe work in different areas, just like you did, that will be looking at Man and thinking, oh, this sounds interesting. Probably listen to this conversation and thought, oh, there's a few interesting angles here. What advice would you give to them for those that are looking to break in? What are the types of skills that you need? I spoke to a few young engineers and just did some interviews with them. They spoke about this and spoke to the really collaborative culture and how they sit next to the likes of yourself and can tap on your shoulder and get your advice and your take on a macro event, and then you're on CNBC or Bloomberg an hour later. So what advice would you give them for those that are looking to break into a firm like Man?
I'd say, anybody who's got a curious mindset and is looking for a practical way to apply that in, real world environments, Man is a great place to come. That it's a collaborative culture. It is something that will embrace anybody who's got that kind of mindset.